Discover the incredible power of silence, 5 heartwarming steps to transform your life forever. Jenna pushed through the front door, her body a worn-out shell after another long shift at the diner. The aroma of her children's favorite macaroni and cheese wafted up from the kitchen, but her heart sank under the weight of exhaustion. She dropped her bag on the floor with a heavy thud and scrunched her eyes shut, feeling like a ghost in her own life, haunting the spaces of her small Midwestern town. The laughter echoing from the backyard faded as 8-year-old Lily and her 6-year-old brother, Max, chased each other, their exuberance a bittersweet reminder of Jenna's own waning spirit, but that evening, as she stumbled upon her late grandmother's old journal tucked away in a dusty corner of the attic, everything changed. Flipping through the pages filled with heartfelt words about finding beauty in silence amid life's storms pulled at an aching part of Jenna. Tears stung her eyes as she read her grandmother's musings how stillness could grant clarity and strength. A long-buried spark flickered within her, igniting hope she thought she lost. "I can do this," she whispered to the empty room, determination swelling inside her. With newfound resolve, Jenna devised 5 heartfelt steps. Practice meditation while the kids drew, embrace active listening during their plays, write by candlelight, and deepen the sibling bond. As the sun dipped below the horizon, she closed her eyes for the first time in what felt like forever, breathing deeply while the children let their imaginations run wild with crayons. The chaotic cafe chatter at work began to melt away in her mind, replaced by laughter that felt more profound than usual, but challenges erupted when Mark, her ambitious neighbor with a booming voice that filled the room, scoffed at her journey. "You really think silence can change your life?" he challenged over coffee breaks. Jenna felt her heart pound, the sweet twilight of solitude tainted by judgment. A rift grew, and while her commitment to self-improvement brought peace at home, it pushed her to the sidelines of the community. Then one fateful day, when Max fell during a backyard playdate, the chaos she'd tried to embrace as calm turned into a whirlwind of panic. Adrenaline surged through her veins as she rushed to her son, her heart pounding in her chest. "Just breathe," she whispered to herself, trying to draw on the silence she had so carefully fostered. But the walls she built around her emotions began to crack, and she confronted Mark, tears falling as she shared the struggles, the exhaustion, the deep-seated guilt, the loneliness of raising 2 kids alone. Stunned, Mark's confident facade wavered. He grappled with the shift in perspective, challenged by Jenna's raw vulnerability. In that charged moment, Jenna saw something in him, a glimpse of humanity, an understanding that surprised them both. With emotions swirling in the air, the neighborhood dynamic began to change. Stillness began to weave through their lives, and the awareness of silence transformed the community slowly, one connection at a time. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As dusk settled gently around her, Jenna stood at the precipice of a turning point. Could silence truly be powerful enough to bridge the gaps and transform lives, including her own? The uncertainty lingered, but so did the glimmer of hope. With a heart aching yet lighter than ever, Jenna drew her children close, ready to step into the unfolding stillness that lay ahead. Would her newfound strength be enough to silence the doubts, and perhaps echo through the very community that once felt so distant? The next morning, Jenna woke up to the soft sunlight streaming through her bedroom window. It splashed across the floor, beckoning her to rise and embrace a new day. She could hear the distant giggles of Lily and Max already stirring in the kitchen, busy with their morning routine. Today felt different, lighter. It was as if the air around her crackled with potential. As she made her way downstairs, she glanced at the journal resting on the kitchen table. The well-worn pages now held the weight of her determination. Today wasn't just about her, it was about nurturing the bond with her children and inviting them into the journey of self-discovery. She poured herself a cup of coffee, inhaling deeply, feeling the rich aroma fill her senses. A small act of solitude that prepared her for what lay ahead. "Mom! Look!" Lily squealed, her tiny hands clutching a colorful drawing of a rainbow and the sun. Jenna felt warmth bloom in her chest. "It's beautiful, sweetie," she said, genuinely surprised by the burst of creativity in such a simple moment. Max joined in, proudly displaying his own masterpiece, a blue dragon that roared with an energy only a child could conjure. "Let us share our art today," Jenna suggested, her smile widening. "We can have a little gallery in the backyard." Both kids were immediately intrigued, their little faces lighting up with enthusiasm. Jenna could feel her heart hum with joy. Today, they would embrace their voices while also exploring the depths of silence together. As they gathered materials for their gallery, bold markers, bright sheets of paper, and a makeshift display made from an old wooden table, Jenna encouraged them to find their own quiet spaces to reflect on what they create. "Let us take a moment to feel what we want to draw," she urged, her voice a soothing comfort. "Can I draw a unicorn?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling. "Of course. Let us see what comes to you when you close your eyes and let your mind wander," Jenna replied, gently guiding her daughter into that peaceful silence. Max followed suit, shifting his focus to the soft rustle of leaves and the sound of the wind. Jenna marveled at how the children embraced this newfound stillness, their imaginations flourishing. As they created, Jenna took her own moment to step back and breathe, both children's laughter a rich backdrop to her meditation. Just then, she heard a familiar voice break through her moment of clarity. "So, this is the new trend, you guys are quiet while you draw?" Mark chuckled as he strolled into the backyard, arms crossed. His playful teasing didn't bother Jenna today, she was grounded in the joy of the moment. "Absolutely, Mark. Would you like to join us?" she replied, surprising herself at how confident she sounded. His expression softened, a flicker of curiosity sparking in his eyes. "All right, I'll give it a shot." As Mark settled next to them, Jenna couldn't help but see the significance of this encounter. The more they shared silence, the more they broke down the barriers built for misunderstandings. This connection pulsed through the air, igniting hope in Jenna's heart. "Okay, while we're all quiet, let us think about what we're grateful for," Jenna suggested, a hint of eagerness lacing her words, but what she didn't expect was for Mark to take the lead, sharing heartfelt reflections of his own challenges and dreams. The kids listened intently, the silence transformed, wrapping everyone in a blanket of warmth and understanding. In that truth-filled moment, Jenna realized that silence wasn't an absence of noise but a powerful tool for connection. More than ever, she felt tied to this newfound community. As they finished their drawings, the laughter of her children mixed with Mark's newfound sincerity. Jenna knew this was just the beginning. With each layer of silence stripped away, they were not only discovering themselves but one another, but as evening approached, a knock on the door would bring tension back to the surface and test Jenna's resolve once again. Would she stand firm in her journey, or would the weight of the past threaten to pull her back? The sun dipped low in the sky, painting the world with hues of orange and pink as Jenna watched her children string their artworks onto a clothesline they fashioned. Laughter bubbled up, a sweet melody to her ears. The moment felt perfect, a snapshot of happiness that she wanted to trap forever. Just then, a sharp knock echoed in the silence that had settled. The jovial laughter faded, and Jenna felt her heart race. She exchanged a worried glance with Mark, who raised his eyebrows, curiosity mixed with concern. "Who could that be?" Lily whispered, clutching Lily's hand. "I don't know." "Let us go see," Jenna replied, her voice steadier than she felt. She led the children inside, their small hands gripping hers, the three of them forming a united front. As Jenna opened the door, she was met with a face that wrenched her heart. A neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, whose face held worry lines deeper than Jenna remembered. "Jenna, I'm so sorry to bother you," Mrs. Thompson said, her voice trembling slightly. "But I heard about the accident. I came to see how you're holding up." Jenna's breath caught in her throat, the mention of the accident crashing into her like a wave, shoving her back towards the painful memories she fought to leave behind. It had been a year since that fateful day, but the ripples of sorrow were ever present. "Oh, I'm fine. Really. Just trying to move forward," Jenna said, hoping her smile didn't look as strained as it felt. Mark, sensing the tension, stepped forward, a calming presence beside Jenna. "Hey, we're all working through it, right?" he said, his tone friendly yet firm. "Why don't you join us? We're just spending the evening together, creating some art in the backyard." Mrs. Thompson hesitated, guilt crossing her face. "I didn't want to intrude." "I just thought no intrusion," Mark assured her, gesturing for her to come inside. "Jenna's been trying out some new ideas with the kids. You should see the drawings they made." Jenna's heart raced. While she appreciated the attempt to lighten the mood, the images in her mind were still dark. But as she glanced at her kids, their hopeful faces lit up with excitement. She realized this was a chance not just for her healing, but perhaps for Mrs. Thompson, too. "Come on, Mrs. Thompson. Grab a marker," Jenna encouraged, her smile returning as she stepped back outside. "We've got a whole gallery waiting for you." At first, Mrs. Thompson's smile felt hesitant, but it soon brightened as she accepted the invitation. She wandered to the rows of vibrant drawings hung like flags of victory against the setting sun. "This is lovely," she said, genuinely impressed. "You've really created something special here, Jenna." As they began to converse, Jenna felt the walls she'd erected around her heart slowly crumbling. The joyful chatter between them mingled with the children's laughter, piercing through the darkness that had loomed for far too long. But just as a sense of ease began to settle within her, the door swung open behind them, and Jenna froze at the sight of another familiar face, Chris, an old friend she hadn't seen in years. His expression mirrored shock and concern, filled with unspoken questions about the past they had never resolved. Hadn't she just started to find her footing again? "Jenna?" he asked, shocked but warm, standing at the threshold. The night, once filled with the comforting embrace of art and laughter, now felt poised on the brink of something uncertain. She stood at a crossroads. Would she invite Chris into the fragile peace she had fought for, or would his appearance shatter the newfound bonds she had been rebuilding? As her heart raced, questions swirled. Could she handle it all, an unexpected gathering, threading old relationships into the fresh tapestry she was weaving? It's a bit hectic today, but come on in." Jenna finally managed, feeling a rush of determination. Could this be another opportunity to confront the ghosts of her past? And just like that, she felt a new chapter unfurling before her, filled with challenges, revelations, and the possibility of deeper connections. Would they break through the noise of history and forge something stronger? As Chris stepped inside, the air felt charged, heavy with unspoken words and unshed tears. Jenna's heart stumbled over itself. Memories flooded in, images of laughter shared and secrets woven together before life had spun them into separate orbits. Her eyes searched Chris's expression for clues, but all she found was a mixture of warmth and apprehension. "Wow, the kids have really outdone themselves," Chris said, taking a tentative step toward the clothesline, his fingers grazing a drawing of a rainbow. "They must be proud." "Oh, they are," Jenna replied, her voice catching. The rainbow with its vivid color seemed a beacon of hope, a reminder that beauty could come from chaos. "We've been trying to fill our days with things that lift us up." Chris nodded, his gaze flicking to her, perhaps searching for something in her eyes, something he could no longer recognize. The chime of laughter from Lily and her little brother, Max, burst through the tension, pulling them all back to the present. "Hey, Mrs. Thompson. Look what I drew." Max cheered, bounding over and presenting a crayon scribble of a giant sun. The sun was so bright it gleamed with joy, just like him. Mrs. Thompson bent down, her smile broadening as she crouched to inspect the masterpiece. Children had a way of breaking through walls, Jenna thought, their innocent enthusiasm igniting warmth where shadows had once lingered. Jenna cleared her throat, trying to bridge the gap that hung between her and Chris. "So, what brings you around? It's been, what, 2 years?" She remembered vividly the last conversation they had, an unfinished argument gnawing at her heart ever since. I heard about the accident. I just wanted to check in on you, Chris said, his voice almost a whisper. I didn't know if you, needed anything. His eyes locked onto hers, burdened with concern. Thank you, she breathed, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. It was the first time someone had acknowledged her pain so directly in what felt like ages. It's been tough, but we're managing. Mark, catching the emotional swell, clapped his hands together. We've been doing family challenges. Today's theme was color. This was Jenna's idea, he explained, gesturing with enthusiasm. Lily and Max came up with all sorts of wild ideas. You should join us. Jenna looked over at Chris, his surprise evident. I really don't know. Come on, Jenna encouraged. It could be fun. Art has a funny way of softening the hardest edges. And besides, the kids would love it. In that moment, the walls felt a little less imposing. Chris exchanged glances with Mrs. Thompson, who nodded encouragingly. All right, let us see what I can do, Chris finally said, a tentative smile breaking through his uncertainty. As they settled down, crayons and paper scattering across the picnic table, Jenna felt a spark of hope like lighting a candle in a dark room. She focused on the peaceful lull of creativity, her brush against the canvas a deliberate choice to move beyond recounting sorrows. Laughter filled the air once more as Chris, trying his hand at a stick figure of a cat, didn't quite land the cute shape he intended. With every stroke, every chuckle exchanged, the gap between them began to close. Jenna felt lighter, the burden of her past starting to ease, if only just a little bit. Until Chris spoke again, his voice serious, Jenna, I came here for more than just a friendly visit. Her breath hitched, his words hung in the air like tendrils of fog, thick and profound. What more could he possibly mean? What had he come to reveal? As the sun slipped beneath the horizon, casting long shadows over their gathering, Jenna found herself at an emotional crossroads once more. Would she dare to face whatever Chris brought with him? Or would she retreat into the safety of silence? The answer felt just out of reach, and with it, a whisper of destiny lingered in the cool evening breeze. What lay at the heart of their history could either bind them closer together or drive them apart forever. Jenna's heart raced at Chris's confession. The air between them crackled with unexpressed emotions. She could only imagine what he was about to say, and dread mixed with the flicker of hope in her chest. The laughter of the kids faded momentarily, their innocent joy giving way to a heavy silence that swirled around the adults like fog. More than a friendly visit? Jenna repeated softly, her mind racing. What do you mean? Chris shifted his weight, uncertainty flickering across his face. He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it, glancing down at the crayons spread out before him as if seeking inspiration amid their chaos. I've missed you, Jenna. His words were tentative, clumsy in a way they once never were. I didn't give it much thought back then, but when I heard about everything his voice trailed off, the shadows of the past making it hard to finish. What about everything? She prompted, a mix of curiosity and fear knotting in her stomach. What are you really saying, Chris? He finally looked up, his gaze steady, breaking through the haze of uncertainty. I've spent all that time regretting how we left things. I know I hurt you, and I shouldn't have walked away. But I want to be here for you now. And not just as a friend. If you'll let me, I want to help. A lump formed in Jenna's throat. She could feel the weight of his words, heavy and monumental. Help? How? The question hung there, fragile like the drawings flapping gently in the breeze. She wanted to believe him but was terrified to open her heart again. She had worked so hard to mend what was left of her spirit since the accident. The thought of letting Chris back in was both a comfort and a risk she wasn't sure she could take. I want to understand, he continued, his voice softening. I want to help you and the kids, whether that means talking things through or just being here. I don't want to leave you in the dark anymore. Jenna's hands gripped the edge of the picnic table, her knuckles white. The kids played at her feet, oblivious to the storm brewing above their heads. She watched as Max drew a swirling cloud beside the sun, a beautiful contrast of light and shadow. It was ironic, reflecting the very essence of her feelings toward Chris. "Why now?" Jenna asked, her voice small. "After all this time? Why return when things were finally settling down for us? It's been 2 years. I had to get my own life in order before I could come back without dragging you down," Chris said, vulnerability flashing in his eyes. "I didn't think I could face you, or myself, after all that has happened. But I don't want to ignore what we had, what we could still have." The words hung between them, stretching across the gulf of their shared past. Jenna felt a warmth spreading through her, a small flicker of the connection they once had, tangled emotions mixing like the colors on the kids' drawings. Yet, doubt lingered, like a shadow at the edge of light. "I don't know if I can do this," she admitted. "What if it all falls apart again? What if we can't go back?" Chris reached across the table, gently placing his hand over hers. The simple contact sent unexpected ripples through her. "What if we can build something new instead? Something stronger together, without pretending?" Jenna looked into his eyes, searching for the truth behind his words. Could she step out of fear and into the possibility of hope? She was on the brink, standing between the comfort of silence and the leap of faith Chris was offering. The laughter of the kids resumed, breaking her reverie. She felt the warmth of their shared bond, but uncertainty loomed overhead. "Jenna?" Chris's voice pulled her back to the moment. "What do you want?" As the last rays of the sun danced across the horizon, Jenna knew she had a choice to make. Would she risk her heart again, opening herself to Chris, or retreat into the familiar, shielding herself once more? The air crackled with tension as she held his gaze, the promise of possibility teetering on the edge. Could she dare to hope for a new beginning? Jenna took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the sun fading, leaving a gentle chill in the air. She couldn't shake off the feeling of being surrounded by thousands of tiny whispers. The kids were still laughing, their carefree spirits spinning joy into the atmosphere, but for her, time seemed suspended. Chris's hand on hers felt both grounding and electric, a vivid reminder of their shared past. She could hear the heartbeats in her ears, each one louder than the last as she weighed the consequences of her next words. She gripped the edge of the table tightly, trying to confine the whirlwind inside her. "Chris, I want to believe you," she finally managed, her voice trembling. "But it's so hard. What if I open up, and you change your mind again?" He squeezed her hand, his eyes widening in earnest. "I won't. I promise. It's different this time. I've changed, Jenna." She searched his gaze for signs of the boy she once knew, the boy who made her laugh until her stomach hurt, the boy who held her hand during the difficult moments. That boy had turned into a man now, and she hoped the heart that beat beneath his chest was strong enough to withstand the weight of their shared past, but doubt crept in like a shadow. What if the kids don't understand this? What if we confuse them? She glanced over her shoulder at Max and Lily, who were deep in conversation about their colorful drawings, completely unaware of the adult turmoil swirling around them. "We can tell them together. We'll figure it out as a family." Chris's voice was soothing, a balm against her fears, but her heart still hesitated. "I want to be a part of their lives too." A flicker of hope ignited in her chest. Could she really contemplate a future where Chris was included? Having him around would mean laughter, companionship, and maybe a future without the specter of solitude hovering over her. But alongside that hope was a sharp blade of anxiety slicing through. What if she was only setting herself up for another heartbreak? "Could you ever forgive me?" Chris asked suddenly, the vulnerability clear in his tone. "Forgiveness can be a heavy weight, Chris," Jenna replied softly, feeling dread coil in her stomach. "It takes time." "I know," he breathed, an understanding almost palpable in the silence between them. "But what if we took that time together? No rushing. Just us." Jenna's breath hitched. She considered his words carefully, imagining the possibility of shared moments, movie nights, chaotic art projects with the kids, the simple beauty of dinner conversations. Yet, an image of loneliness flickered, a fear that if things went south, she'd fall harder than before. "Let's start with small steps," she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe we can just suddenly." Max bounded over, beaming, and broke the tension like a glass shattering on the floor. "Mom! Chris! Look at my drawing!" He thrust his colorful masterpiece toward them, an explosion of color and charm. Jenna blinked, momentarily lost in the pure joy radiating from her son. She smiled and felt her protective armor crack just a little under the warmth of his enthusiasm. "That's amazing, buddy!" Chris exclaimed, kneeling down to admire the work. Those small moments filled the gaps of uncertainty, knitting them back together in ways she hadn't realized were possible. As she watched Chris interact with her children, a flicker of hope ignited. Could they build something new? "Jenna, let's take it slow," Chris spoke again, meeting her gaze earnestly. "But I want you to know, I'm here for you, fully. Together. I won't let go easily this time." With a sliver of encouragement, Jenna felt herself teeter closer to the edge of possibility. "Okay," she said, finally willing to step out in faith. "Let's take that leap." As Chris's smile unfurled, warmth flooded through her, melting away layers of hesitation. But one question lingered in the air, echoing against the encroaching darkness: could their fragile happiness withstand the trials of the past? And as the night settled in, casting a cozy shadow over their gathering, Jenna's heart whispered a cautious hope, wondering if a brighter future was really just around the corner. The evening air wrapped around Jenna as she watched Chris interact with her kids. Max's face sparkled with delight, and Lily clapped her hands in enthusiasm, their laughter melting the tension from earlier. In those moments, it felt like they could weave a fabric of shared happiness, each thread vibrant and strong. Yet, lurking behind the joy was a nagging whisper. Jenna inhaled deeply, the scent of blooming flowers mixed with the hint of approaching rain. It was a beautiful evening, but worry clawed at her insides. She wanted so much to believe Chris this time. But how would they navigate the road that lay ahead? So many memories, some bright, some haunting, floated through her mind. "Can we paint together tomorrow, Chris?" Max asked, pulling his father's attention back to the present. "I want to use the glitter paint." "Absolutely," Chris replied, his smile unwavering, lighting up the surrounding darkness. The casual ease in which Chris bonded with her children made Jenna's heart flutter and ache simultaneously. What if he was as good with their parenting as he was at charming her? But doubt bubbled again. Could she trust this man who held her hand now? As much as she wanted to dive into this newfound connection, the memories of past hurt flashed before her, demanding to be acknowledged. She hadn't just picked up the pieces of her heart for herself, she had done it to protect her kids, and yet here was Chris, offering the possibility of a new beginning. "Mom." Lily's soft voice piped up, pulling Jenna from her thoughts. "Are you okay? You look like you're in a movie." Jenna chuckled lightly, grateful for the little girl's innocence. "I'm just thinking about family." "Family is good," Max proclaimed, waggling his finger as if he were a wise sage. "We can make cookies next time and have a party." "That sounds perfect, buddy," Chris agreed, and Jenna noticed how he leaned into the excitement, a distinct change from before. Perhaps he was serious about being part of their lives again, but would this really work? She exchanged glances with Chris, and his penetrating gaze seemed to melt away her fears, even if just a little. In that instant, Jenna made a choice. She would let herself feel, if only for a moment, the possibility of joy and connection. Later that night, after the kids were tucked into bed and the house fell silent, Jenna settled on the couch with a steaming cup of tea. She wrapped her fingers around the warm mug, feeling the familiar swirl of hope and fear crash together again. Chris had just entered the room, quiet as a whisper, an inviting energy filling the space between them. "Hey," he said softly, taking a seat across from her. "You did great today. The kids love you. They love us." Jenna's heart raced, and she shrugged slightly. We'll see. Love is complicated. He nodded knowingly. I get that. But I promise to be better, to be here, not just for the kids but for you too. She studied his face to catch any hint of insincerity, but all she saw was sincerity etched in every line. It struck her how his presence had turned familiar, yet uncertain. What if we mess this up again? What if they get hurt? We won't let that happen, he said earnestly. We'll plan, adapt and talk through it all, okay? Just like now. Silence settled heavily around them, filled only with the soft sounds of the ticking clock. It was a silence that felt whole, safe. For the first time in a long while, Jenna felt the ticking of time not as a reminder of stress but as an opportunity to build something new, brick by brick, but just as comfort spread through her, an unexpected thought surfaced. What if the bond they were trying to rebuild was tested in ways they hadn't imagined? The idea sent her heart racing, uncertainty gripping as tightly as the warmth of the tea. Chris, she started, but he cut in with a half-smile. Let us not find hurdles just yet. Let us enjoy it, Jenna. She nodded, yet the question fluttered like a wayward butterfly. Could they handle the unexpected challenges life might throw their way? As they exchanged tentative smiles, Jenna couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of a storm, one that could either tear them apart or solidify what they just began to reclaim. The night deepened, and a single last thought hung in the air, silent but alive. Was she ready for the journey ahead? And as the stars twinkled above, she realized some leaps were necessary, but would they leap together into the unknown? The morning sun broke through the clouds, filling the kitchen with a warm, golden light. Jenna moved about, preparing breakfast while the scent of pancakes wafted through the air. She glanced at the clock. The kids would be up any minute. There was a comforting rhythm to mornings like this, and she soaked it in, desperately hoping that today could be peaceful, but peace sometimes felt fleeting. Chris had stayed over, and with every creak of the floorboards, tension spun like a web in her stomach. Could they truly navigate this fragile new reality? Mom! I'm starving. Max's voice broke through the stillness, awakening her from her thoughts. Coming. She called back, forcing a smile as she griddled another pancake. As she flipped it, memories tugged at her mind. Memories of hurried mornings filled with chaos and noise, of having to play both mother and father. But today felt different. Chris was here to share in it, and maybe, just maybe, it would feel like a real family. The kids burst into the kitchen, their giggles echoing off the walls. Chris followed close behind, tousled hair and sleepy eyes making him look endearing, even as he made a beeline for the coffee pot. Morning, sleepyhead, Jenna teased as he poured himself a cup. Morning. I was dreaming about glitter paint, he replied, smirking back at her. Lily jumped up to the table, her excitement contagious. Can I have extra chocolate chips on my pancake? Of course. Jenna answered, her heart lightening. She caught Chris watching her with an intensity that felt both thrilling and unnerving. Did he see her effort? Did he understand the weight of this moment? They all sat down together, and as breakfast unfolded, laughter spilled like syrup over the table. Conversations flitted from what they'd paint to who could stack the most pancakes. But even in the laughter, an undercurrent of anxiety hummed beneath the surface. Jenna couldn't shake the thought of what would come next. After breakfast, while Lily and Max geared up for a morning of creative chaos, Chris and Jenna stood in the kitchen, the remnants of breakfast scattered before them. Any ideas for today? Jenna asked, trying to keep the conversation light. How about we take them to the park after painting? It's a nice day out, Chris suggested, his eyes glimmering with enthusiasm. Yeah, park sounds great, Jenna replied, but a nagging feeling clawed back at her. What if they didn't handle it well? What if the day turned south? Hey! Chris placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, pulling her focus to him. You're thinking too much again. Let us just have fun, alright? His touch sent a shiver through her, and she realized she wanted to lean into his warmth. I want to. I do. Let us not dwell. We've got today, and that's all we need, he smiled, lifting her spirits a little. With some reluctance, Jenna nodded, surrendering to the smile on his face. Sometimes, she realized, it was easier to let go than hold on to the anxieties that seemed to grow heavier each day. The morning melted into a vibrant afternoon of colors and laughter, and the chaos of paint splatters filled the backyard. Max flung a brush, red splatters landing on Chris' shirt. The scene was pure magic, like an art installation of joy and messy innocence. As laughter rang out and bright colors danced on canvases, Jenna's heart swelled. Maybe they could find their way through this. Maybe the love was lost after all. But just as she allowed herself to embrace the moment, a loud crash came from the corner of the yard. Jenna whipped her head around, fear gripping her. Oh! What was that? She shouted, her heart racing again as dread rushed back in. As the children paused, staring wide-eyed, Jenna's gaze met Chris'. His expression shifted to concern, mirroring her own. What had they stumbled into now? What unexpected twist was waiting to unravel this beautiful day? With uncertainty in the air, Jenna couldn't help but wonder if their renewed bond would withstand what lay ahead. Jenna's heart pounded in her chest as she stepped toward the sound. She was still trying to shake off the echoes of laughter and fun from just moments before, but now, unease wrapped around her like a cold blanket. The kids were glued to the spot, clutching their brushes, unsure of what to make of the commotion. Stay right here, she warned, glancing back at Chris, who was already moving toward her side. Together, they ventured closer to the corner of the yard where the chaos had erupted. Jenna's stomach twisted. She peeked around the bush, half expecting to find a broken fence or maybe a rogue animal. Instead, she discovered a toppled-over pot filled with vibrant daisies, dirt scattered everywhere. A few stray soccer balls had rolled away, but that was all. Just some flowers, Chris said, trying to lighten the mood, his voice more steady than hers. It's no big deal. Relief washed over Jenna but mixed with an ignited worry from moments before. I thought it was something worse, she breathed out, a fleeting smile creeping across her lips, though the worry still lingered. Amidst the strewn dirt, Lily's giggle broke the air and danced around them like music. Can we play soccer after painting? She asked, her eyes brimming with innocence and expectation. Sure. Let us finish our masterpieces first, Chris encouraged her with a nod, bending down to help clean up the mess. His hands sifted through the dirt. Jenna couldn't help but admire him, working effortlessly with the kids. There was something about that sight that stirred warmth in her chest. Maybe they could weave a new narrative, stitch together past sorrows with present joys. As they resumed their creative chaos, splashes of colors intertwined on the canvases in front of the children. The air buzzed with delight, and the earlier fear dissipated like mist under the sun. Jenna snuck glances at Chris, who shared that infectious joy with Lily and Max while occasionally catching Jenna's eye, that same gleaming intensity captured in his expression. Mama, look at mine! Max shouted, revealing a canvas splattered with greens, blues, and a hint of chaos. It's a world. Ocean, sky, everything. That's amazing, buddy. You've captured a whole universe. Jenna's voice rang with enthusiasm, but inside she couldn't help but feel a slight twinge of sadness for the worlds he might never fully explore if their delicate family structure didn't hold. Okay, now it's time for these masterpieces to dry, Chris announced, straightening up and giving a stretch. Time for some soccer. Yay! They shouted in unison, excitement bubbling once more. As they wiped their hands clean and grabbed the soccer balls, Jenna watched them rush toward the makeshift goal. She stood back, absorbing the moment. The scene played out like a postcard. Happy kids, laughter radiating from the backyard, Chris grinning as he joined them, yet, a whisper of uncertainty lingered in the back of her mind. Together they could create beautiful moments, but would this fragment of happiness withstand reality's deeper shadows? A sudden thought struck her. What if she buried those uncertainties once again, hoping they wouldn't resurface? What if she allowed herself to trust in this newly generated bond? Jenna! Come play! Chris's voice called out, pulling her from her contemplation. Max and Lily, in their enthusiastic glee, beckoned her forward, their smiles wide and gleaming like sunshine. As she joined them, kicking the ball back and forth with laughter spilling from her lips, she felt a momentary flutter of hope. Yet there was a lingering question that loomed over her. How long could this happiness last before the cracks began to show? The sound of children laughing filled the air, but in the depths of Jenna's heart, that question echoed louder. Did she dare to believe this could be real? The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over Jenna's backyard. She watched as the kids giggled and chased after the soccer ball, the rhythm of laughter weaving through the air like music. Chris was right in the mix, his presence a comforting anchor as they played together, a scene that felt almost surreal. For a moment, everything in the world felt right, but just like the fading sunlight, an uncertainty hung like a shadow in the back of Jenna's mind. Was this just a fleeting moment? Could they truly build something stable out of the chaos they all carried? She took a deep breath, willing herself to embrace the joy she and the kids were experiencing. The game continued, the sounds of squeals and cheers lifting her spirits. Every kick and pass between Chris and Max made her heart swell with hope. Seeing Chris engage with her children, sharing laughter and light-hearted teasing, rekindled something within her, the flicker of what a family could feel like. Then, as the afternoon wore on and energy began to wane, they collapsed onto the grass in a tangle of limbs, breathing heavily. That was epic! Max exclaimed, grinning from ear to ear. Jenna laughed, the pure joy of the moment washing over her. You were all fantastic. I'm not sure if I'd say epic, though maybe just awesome. Chris chuckled, nudging her lightly. Hey, I think we can all agree it was a little epic. As their eyes met, something shifted in Jenna's heart, an understanding that perhaps, for everything broken, a new bond was forming. Can we do this every weekend? Lily asked, her petite hands tugging at Jenna's sleeve, her innocent hopes a beautiful light in the encroaching dusk. Absolutely, Jenna replied, feeling warmth spread through her chest at the prospect of creating new traditions as a family. A newfound commitment to nurturing not just her children but also this renewed relationship with Chris blossomed in her heart. As the evening approached, the air cooled, and the light seemed to fade, Jenna felt a wave of affection wash over her. She turned to Chris, ready to voice her thoughts, the determination within her growing. You know, I've really missed having this kind of connection. With you, the kids, everything. Chris looked at her, his expression earnest. I have too. And I want to make it count this time. In that moment, the unsaid things between them hung thick in the air, tethered by shared memories of joy and pain. Let us keep building this, whatever it is, Jenna offered, her heart pounding. I want us to be a family again. Tears brimmed in Chris's eyes, and he nodded slowly, as if accepting a beautiful, yet terrifying challenge. Together, we will. I want to let you down again. As the sun finally sank below the horizon, throwing a soft twilight glow over the backyard, Jenna and Chris embraced, their hearts beating in sync. That quiet assurance created a warmth that dispelled much of her previous insecurity. The laughter of their children served as a melodic backdrop, a reminder of what they were building together, each giggle a layer to the foundation of these healing bonds. They weren't just rebuilding a family but crafting a shared life that could endure, filled with all the vibrant colors of love, compassion, and support. With the night settling in, Jenna felt an undeniable flicker of hope. For every one of their unanswered questions, they had the potential to weave a story of resilience and growth, and together, they would navigate that journey step by step, day by day. No longer haunted by past shadows but buoyed by the promise of dawn yet to come. As the faint stars began to twinkle overhead, Jenna squeezed Chris's hand tighter, ready to embrace the future, to let love and healing lead the way. This was their moment. So, dear friends, if you feel the power of transformation and the beauty of shared connections waiting in your own lives, remember it begins with a leap of faith. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it truly makes a difference. Comment on your Reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your support now, and don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of these actions.